Rub your hands together. Faster, faster, stop. Do you feel that? Do you feel that heat? That's friction, and it's the fastest way I found to make friction real in schools. In this video is a no prep workshop that I always use. Why? Because it allows them to feel it first, and that's what makes it stick. Most kids only hear that friction slows things down. It kind of stays abstract. This version makes it physical immediately. And just for context, this is an acute friction activity that you might be able to do. No. This is a friction lesson that works in a real classroom with links to the real world. Hey, I'm Prem and I'm a civil engineer who's run over 1,000 STEM workshops. This is the version I always use when it's loud, when it's messy. It always works. So let's get to it. Here's a one line that you're gonna base your entire lesson around. Friction is what happens when two surfaces touch each other and try to slide. It resists motion. But let's not get stuck on the definition. Let's anchor it to something that they'll actually see. Start with a hand rub and give them questions. What do you feel? What can you hear? They'll definitely say, I can feel my hands getting warm, I can feel a sound. And that's when you drop in your definition. This grabbing force that we feel, this sound, this heat, that is friction. And then we give them 3 anchors to make it all stick. It makes heat, it makes sound, and over time, it causes things to wear down. That kind of bit of rhyming there. If you want a 10-second bored moment, well, you can simply write friction equals heat and sound, and friction resists movement. So up until now, this is kind of textbook, but now let's link it to the real world, because this is what kids will remember. Friction is basically the invisible tax on every single machine. It decides whether things work, whether they last, and basically whether they're safe. So engineers have to spend a huge amount of time on basically managing friction. So this means either reducing friction to save energy and stopping wear, or increasing friction for grip. So 2 anchors that I normally get kids to kind of understand is firstly, brakes, tires, and shoes. This is where we want maximum friction. We want to slow down when we're in that car. We want to grip the floor when we're running and walking, right? This is where we want the most friction. But on the other side, we've got things like machines with moving parts, or even a pair of scissors. Here, we want as little friction as possible. Because unfortunately here, friction turns our motion into heat and slowly wearing these things down. This is why machines need oil, or even more basic than that, this is why we have smooth surfaces and parts that are designed specifically to stop that rubbing. So now the kids understand that this is not just a vocab word, this is a real thing that happens on a day-to-day basis that we all experience. And then you drop the question, okay, so is friction good or bad? What do we think? And here's the thing, most kids will immediately say bad. We've talked about wearing things down. We've talked about heat. We've talked about smooth surfaces and how much we want them. A lot of them will think, oh yeah, friction is quite bad. We know our kids, right? We want to go as fast as possible. We want things to just work. So friction is bad. And that's perfect, because now we're gonna flip it. So we do a little demo and we get them all to hold a pen. We say, right, try and hold this. Why is it? It's quite good to grip, isn't it? We can hold it. It doesn't slip out our fingers. This is really good, right? Okay, cool. And then you show them something slippery. I've got this bar of soap here, which is quite unusual to hold. But you could use ice cubes, you could use butter, anything that basically screams, this is really, really difficult to hold. I mean, even a phone without a case is quite slippery. And then you learn the line. Sometimes we don't want friction. It wastes energy, it causes things to heat up, and it causes things to wear down. But sometimes we definitely need friction. We need friction for control and stability and to move around. Without friction, we can't walk, we can't write. With too much friction, nothing moves and it's almost impossible. So of course, as always, there's a balance. And now that they understand that, we can actually run a workshop. And now the kids are ready for some real engineering. For this, we need a set of books, some cardboard around this big, and then we need a choice of slider. I've used some Lego bricks, but you can use a Jenga piece, you can use a whiteboard eraser, you can even use a pencil case. And one thing is not to use any toy cars or marbles or anything. All of this stuff kind of involves rolling, and rolling hides surface friction. We want to stick to sliding only, so try and get some kind of block with some decently sized surface area. In essence, what the kids will do is change the surface of this cardboard ramp and see how it affects our slider. Now there's 2 parts to this, but before the kids start, the one thing we need to do is tune our ramp height. We don't want this too tall, so this slides down way too quickly, and we don't want it too shallow where it moves really, really slowly. Okay, task 1. They need to design for safety. They need this moving as slowly as possible down the ramp. Right now, it's about this kind of speed. Now you can introduce stopwatches and stuff like that, or maybe even just have something on the board that runs throughout the whole workshop. Keeping this as simple as possible is the best way. The kids will intuitively know what's faster and slower, but if you do want to take it to the next level, you can definitely introduce a stopwatch. So they'll basically test this block on a handful of materials. We've got some foil, we have tea towel, maybe some laminated sheets or tracing paper, basically stuff that you'd find in the classroom. Don't go searching for exotic materials and wanting to spend a fortune. No. Keep this as simple as possible. Stuff you can find in the classroom that has different textures that might slow things down or speed them up. I'll put a full list up here of things that would work really well that you'd probably find in your classroom. And now the second part, and you probably guessed it, we want to design for efficiency. We want the slider to move down the ramp as fast as possible. And then you frame the whole thing with one rule that quietly enforces his scientific thinking. We keep the same height, we keep the same ramp, we start at the same spot. The only thing you're allowed to change is the surface. When I said it was going to be a 2-minute explanation, did I say it was a 2-minute explanation? It's a 2-minute explanation. That is basically it. The kids are gonna love this one. Now, what you can do throughout this workshop is get them to really scientifically think. So ask them about predictions. Oh, I think the tea towel might slow the slider down because of this, and this. Why is that? Get them to make these predictions, even if they're completely wrong. We want them to start building the habit of, I think this will happen because that's the thinking we're really training with this experiment that we're doing. And that's a lifelong skill. That goes beyond friction. That is a major skill in the world of STEM. And you can go around and ask, okay guys, which surface is gonna have the most friction? Why is that? Which is gonna have the least? Why is that? And here's the thing, even I got caught out on this. I was recording this video and I thought, okay, yeah, the foil is gonna be by far the fastest. I put this on and I was like, what is happening? Why hasn't this just shot down onto the other side of the room? And I've realized that this, when you feel it, is the proper term is it's got a high coefficient of friction. But you can feel something on here, but I initially thought it would go shooting down. But I learned something new, and your kids will learn exactly the same thing. They may come to the same thing, or they may even think, no, I know foil's gonna be slow. That's the whole idea. Get them to predict, get them to really think what is happening and why. And keep pointing them back to the speed that it goes down to. Can you hear things? What can we feel? Do we need to push it along for it to go down? I mean, I'm sure the tea towel is going to be far worse than that. I can guarantee the tea towel is going to be far worse than that. And that's the whole lesson. Friction isn't a definition, but it's something that we can measure and detect with all these clues around us. Honestly, you learn something new every day. I genuinely thought it would go flying down with the foil. Wow. So once the kids have got their results and they kind of know what causes the slider to go down the fastest and of course the slowest, then we can start talking about the surface type. We can start talking about rough versus smooth. We can start talking about texture. Why now? Well, because they've earned it. They've seen it for themselves. They've felt the foil. They thought, hopefully, they felt the foil. They felt the tea towel. They understand the different textures. It all now makes sense to them because they've just tried it out. The only thing is, don't lead with this. Let them figure it out first, then tell them. And the last step, don't end with the ramp. End with what changes. Give them a mission on the way home. Ask them to spot 3 friction decisions that humans have made. Maybe one designed for grip and safety. Maybe one designed to be smooth and elegant. Or maybe even one where they've noticed wear. Because the joy of STEM is that it's everywhere. And the moment a kid spots something in the real world that they fundamentally like and relates it to something that they learned in the classroom, that's when the idea stops being cool, but just how they see the world around them. And we all know, once they start seeing in the world, we've won. If you like this video, hit subscribe, give us a thumbs up. And if you're struggling with a real specific STEM subject, let me know in the comments below.